Watch the Ash Variety channel, unless you're in Derry.
Not bad, this might actually be edible. Now to watch my favorite shows on the Ash Variety channel.
The Three Pigs in the Hollow Wood Plot overview. Three siblings leave their mother's den to seek their own paths in a land layered with shadow. Each builds a house as a shield against the creeping dread that lurks beyond the trees. Straw, then sticks, then brick. A hunter's wind, hungry and patient, sweeps through the forest, testing their courage and the strength of their choices. Story. Step into the hollow wood, where the trees lean in like whispering mouths and the sun filters through in bruised gold. The day the three little pigs left home, the world wore a thin grin that didn't reach the eyes. The first pig, rash and quick to flee, found straw as light as breath and as hollow as a promise. He stacked it in a cottage of pale sighs, doors ajar to the cold, to the night that would soon breathe down his neck. He laughed at the wind, thinking he could outpace fear with speed, but the wind did not run. It arrived unannounced with its long, patient fingers, and it unthreaded the straw walls with a whisper, turning shelter into a chorus of wheeze and rustle. When the darkness pressed closer, the pig realized too late that straw is a nerve, not a defense. The second pig, a touch more cautious, but still hungry for quick relief, chose sticks. Knotted, breathing wood that groaned with every hinge and nail. He built a house that stood with a brittle confidence, a chorus of creaks and sighs that sounded almost alive. The forest watched with a bare, crooked smile as his walls bent and stretched, as if the house itself were listening for the approach of something heavier than wind. And then came the night, in coins of rain, the sound like dozens of teeth clicking in a patient, hungry mouth. The wood trembled, the nails sang, and the second pig learned that strength without patience is a brittle armor, cracked by the slightest breath of fear. The third pig, the eldest and most wary, took his time. He laid brick upon brick, with hands that remembered every story of spires and fortresses. The brick house rose with quiet authority, a throat that could swallow the forest's whispers. Inside, he kept a careful light, a lantern that burned with a stubborn flame. The hollow wood wore a veil of fog and shadow, and the hunter's wind pressed against the brick, tapping like a patient predator at the door. For a while, the world outside hissed and retreated, unable to penetrate the stubborn protection of stone. Yet the forest does not yield to stubbornness alone. It tests what we fear most: loneliness, regret, and the echo of our own heartbeat. The night after the brick stood firm, shadows gathered at the corners, pooling in the hallways like ink. The air grew cold, with a remembered chill, as if the land itself remembered pain it once endured. In the quiet, the third pig heard something, soft, almost a lullaby, rising from the ground, from the soil beneath the brick. It was the forest's breath, a reminder that no shield is eternal, no light invincible. When the final dawn came, the pigs stood before their doors, each weighed down by the choices of their youth. The straw house was nothing but a memory of fragility, blown away by a wind that had learned how to sound like a friend. The stick house sagged and collapsed, not with a single cry, but with a slow, sighing release. Only the brick house remained, a stubborn beacon in a landscape that refused to forget pain. But even bricks, stubborn as they are, carry the texture of the woods in their rough surfaces. The third pig stepped outside and found the forest's edge breathing, a line between safety and something older, something waiting. The wind carried stories of those who ventured into the hollow wood and never returned, of doors that opened inward to secrets rather than out to safety. The pig understood, at last, that protection is a decision, a moment's resolve to face the darkness, rather than to pretend it isn't there. In the end, the pigs learned that fear is not vanquished by walls alone. It lives in the quiet between breaths, in the tremor of